We are almost at the end of 2025. As of the time that I'm recording this video, it is Thursday, the 27th of November, and there is officially 34 days left in the year, which is absolutely insane. I made this exact video about a year ago saying this exact thing, and now we're here in this moment. And there's probably two camps of people watching this video right now. Camp number one is the people that made a decision a year ago to change their life in some capacity or to continue to do the things that had led them to the positive place that they've found themselves in. And now they find themselves here in November of 2025, proud of the things they've accomplished. And then there's camp number two. You are potentially in that group of people who didn't do the things that you said you were going to do, or didn't do the things that you knew you were supposed to do this time last year to end up in a place that you would be better off for now. And now you find yourself in November of 2025 wondering why you didn't make those decisions that would have led to the life that you actually want to be living this time. Which is why I love the end of the year so much, because it offers one really good opportunity to properly zoom out. Because when you're in the middle of the year or in the midst of a normal period of life, you're kind of living week by week, month by month, and if you're a serious entrepreneur, quarter by quarter, but anything else is kind of just what is in front of the windshield at any one moment. Whereas the moment that you get towards the end of the year, that you get to this period now, you have this really beautiful opportunity to imagine yourself a year from now, sitting in November 27th, Thursday. It won't be a Thursday, will it? But you'll be sitting on the 27th of November, 2026, and you'll either have done all the things that we're going to establish in this video that put you in a position where you get to be better off next year, or you haven't done those things. And the work in between almost doesn't matter in this moment. It just matters what decision you make. And the decisions you make now can shift the trajectory of everything that you're going to achieve. So right now is a really important moment to ask yourself, where do I want to be November 27th, 2026? And what do I need to start doing today to make sure that that reality becomes real? Because if you're watching this video right now and you have done amazing things, and the version of you that you were in November 2024 and the version you are now are two completely different people, congratulations, good for you. But if you're sitting there right now watching this video and what I'm saying is making you a little bit uncomfortable, you have the opportunity to change that. Because you will be sitting in this moment again, 12 months later, having either done all the things that you know you need to do, or you didn't do those things. But this opportunity to actually see yourself there, to see yourself sitting wherever you find yourself 12 months from now, is an incredible moment that we rarely get the opportunity to actually think about. And so for the rest of this video, I'm going to share with you 6 things that I think will set you up to have an unbelievable 2026, to turn 2026 into the greatest year of your life so far. First step on this list, and arguably the most crucial thing you need to understand, is that focus is going to be your best friend. If you really want to achieve a lot next year, if you want to turn this into the greatest year of your life, you will do that by maximizing 1, 2, or maybe 3 goals. Anything beyond that, and you're just overwhelming yourself. And I know it can be tempting, especially when the New Year's resolution period comes around, to write your list of 13, 14, 15 different goals that you all want to achieve. You want to get in the best shape of your life. You want to read 12 books. You want to start this business. You want to start that podcast. You want to do all of these different things. I know that can be tempting, but if you really want to move the needle, you can do that by achieving one thing exceptionally well. And then all the results that come downstream of you achieving that thing are what make you feel like your life is tremendously different. If you set the one goal of getting in the best shape of your life in 2026 and you make that your entire focus, that will have downstream effects that then spill into every other area of your life. If you set the goal of starting a business in 2026 and making your first $100,000 or $250,000 or $500,000 in 2026, and you actually achieve that, and you achieve that at the expense of every other area of your life, that will trickle into everything else. And so setting 1, 2, or maybe 3 big goals for the year is the easiest way to, 1, actually make sure that they happen, because you have the time and the energy and the focus and the mental space to focus all of your energy on fewer things. but you also have the ability to maximize those goals. And when you achieve a lot in one area, it will inevitably spill out into everything else that you do. And so my advice to you right now is pull out a pen and paper and set 3 goals, a maximum of 3 goals for 2026. The first can be something relating to your health. Maybe you want to run a marathon or get in the best shape of your life or go to the gym more or drink more water or whatever the thing is relating to your health. The second, I want you to make it about your money. If you want to have an amazing year in 2026, you need to get your money right. And so if you want to do that, set some kind of goal around your finances, whether it's investing a certain amount of money every single month or just learning to invest in general and starting that journey. Whatever it is, set some kind of goal around your money. And the third is set some kind of goal around your profession, your business that you're going to start, the business that you're going to create, the content you're going to create, the brand you're going to build, something relating to your purpose, your profession, the thing that you're going to achieve next year, and keep it at that. Just focus on those 3 and then maximize those 3. Give yourself the mental space, give yourself the full mental space to actually achieve those goals. The moment that you spill into this smorgasbord of a dozen different things that you're going to try to achieve, all you're going to end up with is overwhelm. And then when you're feeling overwhelmed or you're spoilt for choice, you end up doing none of those things and achieving none of those things. And then you find yourself a year later in the exact same place you are right now. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to take those 3 things, the goal for your health, the goal for your money, and the goal for your purpose, and you're going to create a giant unreasonable goal for each of them. Whatever you've initially picked, I want you to now push it beyond the bounds of what you think is reasonable. The idea here is that you want this goal to feel impossible if you continue doing what you've already done. And so if you have the goal of getting to 50,000 followers on Instagram and you're currently posting 3 times a week, you might convince yourself that continuing to post 3 times a week is enough for you to achieve that goal. You might, if you want to run a 10K, convince yourself that it's enough to run whenever you feel like it for the next year. But if you push yourself out and you go, I'm going to run a fucking marathon by this time next year, and you can't currently run a 10K, that forces you to think about how much more you need to be doing. The reason why I'm so passionate about setting giant, unreasonable goals and why it's become such a big part of the way that I do things is because in 2022, in mid 2022, June 2022 to be exact, I set the goal of making $50,000 in a single month before the end of the year. And for context, I, at the time, had been running my own business from 2017 all the way through till 2022 as a freelance photographer and videographer. And up until that point, I'd made my biggest month had been around 15,000 Australian dollars. So we're talking like 8 or 9,000 US dollars. And I set this goal because for years, I'd kind of made a little bit of money and then drained my bank account to zero, made a little bit of money and drained it back to zero, and never really felt like I'd built something that was legitimate and real and leveraged and had the potential to scale into the life that I now live. And so I had this moment in June of 2022 where I found myself in $12,000 of credit card debt. I just crossed the finish line of my first ever Ironman. I had about $8,000 left in my credit limit to play with before I needed to go and get a job. And so I had this moment where I decided that I was either going to make $50,000 US in a single month before the end of the year, or I was done trying to be an entrepreneur and I'd go get a job and start living what I thought would be a normal life. And that moment where I made that goal in June of 2022 forced me to think bigger, because suddenly, rather than thinking, okay, I'll get there with some freelance jobs and I'll make content in my spare time and I'll kind of keep doing what I had been doing, by setting the goal so much further than where I'd ever been, I knew that if I kept doing what I'd been doing, there was no chance that I was going to get there. And so immediately I went cold turkey on freelance work. I started saying no to every client that came my way, even though I had no business doing so. And I knew if I focused all of my time and energy on making way more content than I ever had and producing and launching way more digital products than I ever had, that was the only route in order for me to achieve that success. And almost immediately that shift changed everything. I went on between June of 2022 and November of 2022, I went from zero to $49,688 US dollars in November of 2022, which obviously is not the $50,000 goal, but to me was close enough that I proved to myself that I was never going to fuck around with achievable goals ever again. That 6-month period changed everything for me. And everything I now have is to some extent a result of that period of time. And so if you're watching this right now and you're sitting there thinking, I don't know about this fucking Tom guy, man, I don't know about setting a giant unreasonable goal. It feels redundant. It feels like mental masturbation. It feels like a waste of fucking time. I promise you, the moment that you write that goal down, the moment that you put pen to paper and establish that that is a goal that you want to achieve, it will force you to think bigger. And the irony is when you think a little bit beyond what you've currently done, you'll start doing things that you've never done before. And as a result of doing the things that you've never done before, you'll start to achieve things you've never achieved before. And I know it sounds overly simplistic, but if I was able to chalk down one change that allowed me to go from $12,000 in credit card debt in June of 2022 to now being worth multiple millions of dollars and living the life that I now live, it is from that decision in June to set a goal that was so far beyond what I thought would ever be possible for me, and then continuing to do that over the last 3 years and create the life and the business and everything that I now have. And so trust me on this one. If you're feeling skeptical, if you're sitting there right now being like, I don't know about this one, mate, please set a giant unreasonable goal in relation to your health. If you're thinking about running a 10K, fuck it, run a marathon. Set a giant unreasonable goal for your money. Instead of thinking I want to invest $500 a month, let's invest $3,000 a month and then figure out how the fuck you're going to get there. And then figure out a goal for your business, for your content, for your brand, for your purpose, the thing that you want to achieve. If you want to get to 10,000 followers, let's set the goal at 100,000 followers. If you've never made over $10,000 a month, let's set the goal at $50,000 a month. Let's set the goal so far beyond what you think is reasonable right now and then force yourself to get there. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to write down all of the outputs you need to take each and every day in order to make that goal realistic. I want you to take that unrealistic goal and map out a realistic set of outputs that you would need to do in order to achieve it. If you want to get to 100,000 followers before the end of the year, how many pieces of content do you need to make between now and November 2026 in order to achieve it? If you want to get to $1 million net worth, how much money do you need to put aside every single day, every single week, and every single month into what market, and what percentage does that need to compound at every single month for the next 12 months in order to achieve that outcome? What is the output that you need to do every single day and every single week and every single month between now and next year in order to achieve this goal? Then you're going to take those list of outputs and you're going to create an output-based reward system every single time you do those things or you do a certain amount of those things. And so if your goal is to grow your info product business next year, and you're going to do that by running weekly free webinars every single week for the next 12 months, what are you going to give yourself for having completed another one of those free webinars? If you want to grow your brand to 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, what are you going to give yourself every single time you complete a YouTube video? If you want to run a marathon, what are you going to give yourself at the end of each week as a reward for running a certain amount of kilometers for that week? You need to come up with some kind of reward system to emotionally manipulate yourself into doing the outputs that are going to create the results for you a year from now. I have 2 great examples of this. Number 1 is very simple. Number 2 is a little bit more complex. Number 1 is that I love wine. If I had the choice, would drink multiple glasses of wine every single day. I love it. I love the conversations you have. I love the environments you drink wine in. I love everything about wine. But I know if I drink too much wine, it is detrimental to my goals. And so something I did a few months ago as a way to motivate myself to do the actions that I know will grow my business is I made the rule that I am only allowed to drink wine on days that I've recorded a YouTube video. And so now, as a result of doing this for a few months, I know that today I can have a glass of wine with dinner. And that is motivating me to do this video. It is a Thursday. I kind of want to go out for dinner. And so me and my fiance are going to go out for dinner tonight, potentially. And I'm going to have a glass of wine with dinner. And I know I'm only able to do that if I record this video. To some of you, you might look at that and go, that seems unhealthy. It seems like emotional manipulation. But the issue is if you don't reward yourself for doing the outputs that are going to create the goals that you want, you have no reason to continue doing those things because the goal's too far down the line. If you want to build $1 million net worth and you have currently no money in your bank account and you know you need to put a certain amount of money aside per month in order to achieve that goal is too far away. If you're on a swim and you just left an island and you were swimming to a different island, but you couldn't even see it on the horizon, it's going to be very, very difficult to not just turn around and go back to the island. And so in terms of your goal, you need mile markers, you need checkpoints, you need things along the way that are going to motivate you to do the actions that are going to step you in the right direction. And for me, I know that every single time I record a YouTube video, I am stepping in the right direction. And I'm going to motivate myself by saying that on days that I record videos, I am allowed to drink wine. On days that I haven't recorded videos, I'm not allowed to drink wine. The second example is this watch. I bought this watch just recently. It's an 80,000 Australian dollar watch, 50,000 US dollars, which is fucking ludicrous, to be honest with you. I can't even fucking believe that I wear this watch. And I made a rule. I actually built a tool for this too, where every single Instagram post I published was $200. Every single Instagram story I published was $20, and every YouTube video was $500. And every single time I would do one of those things, every time I published an Instagram video, published a YouTube video, or published a story, I would transfer that amount of money from my main account into a savings account that was allocated for this watch. I made a dashboard where I had all of those savings mapped out, and every single time I would log into that dashboard because I'd done the piece of content or published the thing that I was going to publish and transferred the money, I saw an image of this watch. And now, as of September this year, I get to wear this watch because I managed to save the amount or managed to allocate the amount needed by producing content consistently. Again, that might sound insane, but I've consistently found that if you can gamify the process of doing the outputs that are going to create the results that you want, you are more likely to do those outputs. Because the reality is that life is like a video game. In a video game, you've got checkpoints and achievements and the things that you unlock as a result of doing the things. But the issue is in a video game, those are fucking everywhere. You'll walk around a corner and it'll be a checkpoint or a mile marker and a save point. And then you walk around another corner and it'll be an achievement unlocked or a collectible item or something to keep you going. And in a video game, they design it so those things are spaced just far enough apart that you'll keep playing the game. It'll give you just enough dopamine to push you just far enough that you stay in that Goldilocks zone of progress. You're getting just enough dopamine, but it's just hard enough that you continue working on that path. The issue with life is those checkpoints, those achievements, those moments might be years apart. And so if you're trying to run a marathon and you've just started, the checkpoint that you might hit is a 10-kilometer run, your first 10-kilometer run. But that might not happen for 4 months. And so you have to go 4 months of consistent running every single week in order to get to the point where you can run your first 10K and then your first half marathon. And then your first marathon might be a year after you start running. Those checkpoints are way too far apart. And so by gamifying it and rewarding yourself for certain outputs, you take this big goal where the achievements are too far apart and you sprinkle in little mile markers, little checkpoints, little achievements unlocked that you can get as a result of doing a certain thing. In 2022, in June, I set myself the rule for every consecutive 2 post a day week. So 14 posts in a week. Every single time I had another consecutive week of doing that, I had a new thing that I was able to do. And so week 1 would have been a dinner. Week 2, I think I can't remember what it was at this point. I think it was like a boozy night out. I think week 3 was like a weekend away. Week 4 was like I get to book a holiday. And by the time I get to week 8, something along those lines. But I set myself this tiered system of how many consecutive weeks in a row I could accomplish a certain thing and what I would be rewarded with if I accomplished that thing. And so for you, how can you create an output-based reward system? A system that rewards you for doing the things that are going to create the success in your future. Step 4 is I want you to embrace the imbalance. The reality is if you do want to turn 2026 into the greatest year of your life so far, there is going to be an imbalance. You aren't going to be the best version of you in every area of your life. And that's okay. If you're trying to grow your business in 2026, you may not be the fittest you've ever been. If you're trying to be the fittest you've ever been, you're probably not going to be the best friend you've ever been because you can't go out and get shit-faced every weekend. If you're trying to achieve anything, there are going to be other areas of your life that suffer. And unless you go into this with the knowledge that that's going to happen, you're going to fall at the first hurdle. You're going to encounter the first weekend thing that you're supposed to go to, or the first time you're supposed to do something outside or separate from your goals, and you're going to be immediately bowled over. But if you have the ability going in, or you have the awareness going in that this is going to be a year of imbalanced, you're going to have to embrace the intensity of how difficult this year is. You are in a much more sobered perspective going into this, and you are more likely to achieve success. Because the reality is that for everything I achieved in 2022, for how proud of that year I am, it was also the hardest year of my life. I worked so fucking hard in 2022. I sometimes don't believe what I was able to accomplish in that period. I sometimes look back at that year and I almost want to take a piece of that intensity that I had created. I can't believe the amount he was working. I remember there was a moment or a period of about a month where I realized that the light in my office was best at 5 o'clock in the morning during the summer. And so I got up at 4 o'clock to film B-roll every single day for about a month during the summer. I did that during that period of time on top of everything else that I was already doing. And so going into this with the understanding that it is going to be an imbalanced period of time, you're probably not going to see your friends as much as you want. And so going into this with the understanding that in order to achieve your best, it's going to require a level of imbalance. You're not going to be your best in every area of your life. You're going to have to sacrifice certain elements in order to achieve the most out of yourself. And knowing that going in sets you up with the best perspective to actually succeed. And number 5 is I want you to be patient. I know I've been very rah-rah in this video. I'm trying to motivate you to take action. I'm trying to put you on the path of making this year an incredible year. I'm really trying to light the fire under your fucking ass to get you going. But the truth is that you may do everything right and success isn't guaranteed. You may take all the right actions, you may do all the right things and find yourself in November of 2026 not having achieved what you want. But the truth is, almost always, the success that you're chasing is going to take so much longer than you want it to. And so try to understand that 2026 is not make or break. If you do all these right things, if you take a lot of action, if you turn yourself into the type of person who's capable of achieving success, it may not come next year, but it's more likely to come the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that, and you are well on the journey into creating the life that you want. But if you go into this with this all or nothing, this zero-sum mentality that next year has to be the year that things take off, you're going to be probably disappointed. And so I want you to go into this hell for fucking leather, pushing as hard as you possibly can, make next year incredible, but also know that next year doesn't need to be the year that everything changes. Next year might just be the year that you finally start holding up your end of the bargain. It might just be the year where you gain a little bit of self-respect, where you finally start doing the shit that you know you're supposed to do. You finally stop watching these fucking YouTube videos, listening to people speak, but never actually doing anything. Maybe next year for you is just the year that you actually start doing things. You actually start taking action. You actually start your business. You actually start making content. And yeah, you don't achieve the results that you want, but this time next year, you are so much more confident in your ability to eventually achieve it because you've proved to yourself that you're capable of sticking to your word. And so please, I know this video is very exciting. I know it's very rah-rah. I know we're sitting here right now going like, what could life be like in November of 2026 if I do all these things? How much of an impact would that have on my life? What if I achieve these things? I know that's exciting, but please be patient. If I've learned one thing, I've been an entrepreneur for 9 years. I've been making content for 9 years. If I've learned one thing over that entire period of time, is that the success you want is always going to take longer than you want it to. And if you count and you keep score and you try to keep up with this expectation of what you need to achieve by when, you are always going to be disappointed. Whereas if you play the game focused on outputs, focused on the things that you can control, you are so much more likely to succeed. I hope this video helps. Good luck for 2026, and I'll see you in the next one. We are almost at the end of 2026. We are almost at the end of 2026, are we, Tom? Are we, brother? Are we, dude? Are we? No way. Are we almost at the end? No way.